And I'm back 3 movies this time.
I only had to see one.
Yeah, Lewis went home.
So back to your just normal Lewis.
Right. New Lewis didn't take. I went back to the Lewis classic. Oh, man. All right, so we just got out of Life, and...
Well, that sounds bleak.
Yeah, kinda. This is not a Fathom event re-release of the Martin Lawrence Eddie Murphy classic.
So I felt screwed from the jump.
Wouldn't it be something if they still, like, if they had Ryan Reynolds throw in, like, "You gonna eat your cornbread," or like some line from that, or something like. It wouldn't have been...
Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, no, it's a callback that no one will get.
I mean, it wouldn't have been out of character for his character to say he had a Reanimator reference in one scene.
I enjoyed that it made a Reanimator reference, but then the writing was too smart for the audience, and a character immediately calls him like, "Wow, that sure was an obscure reference."
And Ryan Reynolds goes, "I'm a nerd."
Like,
anyone who's going to see this movie probably knows what Reanimator is. If you're up for seeing, all right, like I saw this trailer quite a bit, and whenever I got the trailer for this movie, either of them, I thought like, it looks kind of like a generic Alien knockoff, but given the cast that it has, maybe there's something more to it than the trailers make it look.
Yeah, the trailers were kind of honestly not too dissimilar to the trailers for like Gravity.
Or remember a couple of weeks ago when we got the trailer for this and Alien Covenant back to back?
It's like, oh no, one of you is a poor man's version. That might still be true for both of them, but at least the other one looks like it's holding up, and it's still Ridley Scott, so I'm still giving it a shot. This
movie is a generic Alien knockoff, man. When this movie ended, I thought, like, I am not going to remember this movie after a day.
This felt like a super big budget version of the 90s, like, Showtime Outer Limits.
Yeah, it does, especially with the ending.
With the ending that they telegraphed from a mile away.
Yeah, they do. Especially if you've seen Alien 2 on Earth.
Especially if you've seen a movie where they're like, let's do something clever at the end.
Like, this movie is it also kind of feels like a big budget sci-fi channel movie of the week. Big budget in the sense that it has a lot of big name actors in this film, but they're getting chased around by what is basically the octopus from Finding Dory. It's not the best special effect in the world, honestly. Sometimes it's moving about like it's fucking Ninja from Mario 2.
Because, yeah, I mean, at times, like, towards the beginning, like, it's basically just a starfish, practically. And then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger to where it starts looking like something, but you're not quite sure fucking what.
Yeah.
But yeah, it never, like, there was never a moment when I saw that thing come out where I'm like, oh, fuck.
Same here. I was never scared by this thing. I was never scared a moment in this goddamn movie. I never really found it intense. I just kind of found it there. Like, I wasn't... It's not like I hated the movie, because 24 hours ago I saw fucking Chips, so it's like, okay, well, at least a couple of characters aren't going on a monologue about rim jobs for 20 minutes, so...
Your bar was set pretty high.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, this is bland as fuck, man. Like, in the first... This movie kind of throws you into it, like, from the very beginning. Like,
yeah, honestly, like, you get about as much lead up into what's actually happening into the movie as the trailer. Like, it basically starts where the trailer starts.
No, it does. What you see in the trailer, where they have like the dirt and the little thing comes up and they're looking at it under a microscope and everything, that's practically the opening scene of the movie. It's at least like 3 minutes. There's like maybe this quick little action thing at the beginning.
Yeah, the scene of him catching that module thing that's floating around, which again is in the trailer. That's kind of how like the trailer starts too. So it's like that. Yeah, the trailer you might as well just say is the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it is. It throws you into it that quick to the point to where I don't have time to give a shit about any of them.
Yeah, we don't know who they are, any of their personality types, what their jobs are, nothing. It just immediately goes into like they're already scrambling around trying to catch this thing that's hurtling at them at thousands of miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it honestly feels like there's 15 minutes missing from the beginning of it. Like, that's how quickly it feels like it throws you into this. To the point to where I honestly kind of thought that happened until 10 minutes in and the title card shows, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. Like, I'm all for opening credits. I am. I kinda don't like it when there's not, even though I can deal with it, whatever. But you know, when it reaches a point, you know what, you missed your opportunity to put in an opening title sequence.
Yeah, at that point, because yeah, it's been a solid like leading into like 10 minutes. Like, I don't know exactly, but it fucking felt like it.
At least 3 or 4 scenes. Like it wasn't like it was a long scene or a long scene, single scene.
Yeah,
it wasn't
like,
that. It was multiple scenes.
But more or less just like the extended cut of what you see in the trailer. Like, them catching the orbiter, them bringing it on, samples on board, poking around on it until finally they, find this single-celled organism and get some reaction out of it. Boom. Title. That at that fucking point, like, I mean, if they just started running credits and this whole thing turned out to just be like a fucking short film, that would have, okay. If they just ended it right there and be like to the Academy for your consideration, like, all right.
Like, wow.
It's a really, really focused short film.
Well, I guess we're calling it an early night tonight.
That's it.
Well, right on. So, like,
and then it starts back up again. That
immediately takes me out of the movie whenever that happens. Whenever it gets, though, I think the worst offender of that I've ever seen was probably The Departed, where the title comes on screen 30 minutes into the movie.
It was like fucking halfway through. It's like, oh right, I'm watching The Departed.
Yeah.
Previously on The Departed.
I can't. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. And yeah, this doesn't go a half hour like The Departed did, but at the least it was like a little, 10 minutes or a little more. And so. All right, this is a spoiler. This is a spoiler alert, but
this movie's not that good, so we're just gonna talk.
Yeah, because these characters are yeah, they're underwritten, but at the same time, it's like if you added like 15 minutes before this movie starts, like they wouldn't have been. Like, you could have had the same movie, but added 15 minutes to the beginning with these actors and these characters, and I would have given a shit. Like, it'd be like if you were watching Aliens and it was just like 5 minutes in and the chest burster happens. The first Alien movie.
Well, in the same way, like a big comparison I would have to this movie would be that one that Danny Boyle did, Sunshine.
Yeah.
But this, again, like, this would feel like if it started 20 minutes in after we've already done all, like, the character setup. It just, like, if they'd given us a little bit of time to, like, I don't know, them chilling in the fucking cabin, like, shooting the shit or whatever. Like, you kind of get a feel from, like, oh, Ryan Reynolds, he's kind of busting chops. It makes sense. Like, Gyllenhaal, he's kind of like, Gyllenhaal. Just give us something to work with. And then, oh shit, like, warnings going off, like, oh fuck, that thing's coming in too hot. We need to catch it in a hurry. And then it sets off that action sequence. yeah, that would have been a much smoother transition into it. But yeah, it's just we're starting in like a frantic moment that it already just kind of sets you off on the wrong foot, because then it never goes back from there. Like, it just keeps driving forward.
And because of all of that, the first person, again, spoiler, the first person, and I know they're trying to be probably clever doing this, but the first person to die in the movie is Ryan Reynolds. He dies probably at most a half hour into this movie, which is kind of a problem because we don't know anything about these people, but
We know that he was the most relatable and charismatic person.
because he's Ryan Reynolds in this movie. He's Ryan Reynolds in outer space, and Ryan Reynolds is just naturally likable and charismatic.
And then the problem after that is that then we have a couple different people who I honestly can't remember a single fucking character's name in this whole movie. But
yeah.
but the main person after that is Jake Gyllenhaal, which he's not bringing any sort of like intricate character depth like he had in like Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He in this movie, he basically playing his character from like The Good Girl, but in space.
That's true, yeah.
Like, he just sits there like staring off into the middle distance. Like, even at a point they're talking about like he in whatever future year this is supposed to be taking place in. I don't know they ever actually stated what year it was.
I just assumed it was in the present, honestly. From when it showed New York at the beginning of it. I mean, I could have missed that.
They had like that
but...
like holographic display thing of the ship, so I assumed it was at least plus a couple years.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, whatever time frame it is supposed to be taking place in, they mentioned that he's now breaking the record for consecutive amount of days in space. Like, he's been up there for like 450, 500 days straight or something like that.
I was expecting them to go somewhere with that.
Yeah, like there'd be like they were mentioning like, oh, like, you know, like his muscles are atrophying and different things like that. But at no point in this movie does it ever seem like he's too weak to do something.
Not at all. In fact, that's kind of reserved for the guy in the wheelchair. Which I didn't know that until 20 minutes into this movie.
One of the guys is crippled from the waist down. Not that you'd know, since they're all floating. And then they just mention it like it's a casual aside, like, okay, like, so his legs don't work.
They mentioned that thing about Gyllenhaal earlier, and they kind of mentioned it again towards the end and everything, but I was expecting, like, is this going to turn into like Cliff Curtis from like Sunshine or something like that, or they'll do something really interesting with it?
Like, yeah, because that's what I was kind of wondering, like, if he was going to be like sabotaging things to like keep them in space, like, no, we have to stay up here, kind of thing, because he's like, I like space, I like it up here, it's quiet.
He can just look out the window and quote "Good night, moon." They play that in the trailer.
And yeah, like it like you said, like with Cliff Curtis's character, like it seemed like that he was gonna be like, it's like, no, we have to stay, we have to be up here, we have to do this. And I mean, like the science guy, the black crippled guy,
Hugh. I remember his name. Yeah.
He was more so doing that. Like, he was kind of taking it in that, like, that Sam Neill Event Horizon sort of way. Like, it's like they're like, oh, this thing is definitely dangerous. He's like, but if we just give it a chance to live, it's like, that's a dumb idea.
Yeah, if I learned any lesson from this movie is if you find some kind of life form in space or wherever, just don't go shocking it with a miniature cattle prod. It goes downhill from there.
Apparently, things don't like that.
That's what. Yeah, maybe everything would have been fine if they just didn't do that. This thing just appears in places that sometimes I'm not sure how it got there.
Yeah, like towards the beginning, it's maybe like it's about this big. It's about the size and honestly shape of a starfish, but it's almost completely flat.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's doing things like it's creeping through like vent ducts and shit like that. Like, all right, I get that. It's pretty small. But towards the end, yeah, it's the size of like a full size like octopus. Like it's this big lump of a body and like fucking 6-7 foot long tentacles coming off of it. But then it's still like just escaping into like the wall, and then when it occasionally goes into monster vision to show it scrambling around and stuff, which is impossible to discern what it's looking at. Yeah, it's like going through like still it's going through like pipes and shit. It's like, how in the fuck is this thing fitting in there at this point?
It's between that and like it'll be on like a dude's leg, and it gets to a point where I'm like, I couldn't tell if there was like more than one of them.
Yeah, honestly, at a point, that's kind of what I was expecting. Like it's like we finally got it trapped, and then like another like come over the side or something. Like, oh no, it can split itself in two or some shit.
Yeah, like I kind of thought that it was going in that direction, because I mean, granted, yeah, I was sitting. I wasn't much caring for this movie, so there might have been a couple of things that I missed, but I was looking at it like I'm having trouble following where this creature is going and how it's getting certain places. And there's even shots in the movie where it's like, I can't tell if it's killing the person closest to the camera or someone behind him. There's some really weird camera work in this movie.
It's so bizarre sometimes too. Like when it barely touched that rat, like the rat like seemed like it was like dissolving immediately. But then, like, 5 seconds later, it grabs a hold of Ryan Reynolds' leg, and it's just, like, just on his leg, and he's looking like, guys, like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And it's so subjective. Like, sometimes it would immediately kill somebody, and other times it would just, like, grab a hold of him and just feel around on him a little bit. Like, didn't seem like it wanted to do anything, really. Just,
yeah.
You know, just crawl around on you. It could be like if you were watching something like Alien.
Yeah.
And the fucking creature comes down out of the vents, and you're like, oh shit. And then you're just like just poking you with its hands, and then it just decides to fuck off up into the ceiling again.
They
like just wanted to caress your face.
and because it is just this special effect going across the screen for most of the movie, like I couldn't get invested in the sense that I ever felt like it was something that was actually there. So I wasn't finding it suspenseful in that regard, because it always just looked like an effect to me. And it wasn't that scary of a creature. This whole movie is just something that I've seen before, but done better. Like it just is one of those movies. Yeah,
it had so many parts. Like, you know, it borrows heavily from Alien, it borrows heavily from Sunshine, it borrows heavily from Supernova. Just any space movie where shit goes south, you could find an easy comparison in this movie. Like it was just like this guy, like whoever wrote this one, just sat down, marathoned like all their favorite like space horror films, and then was like, okay, I can do that, and then wrote them all into one like fan fiction script.
Wrote it into like what is kind of just a bland slasher movie in space with an ending that's very Outer Limitsy. It certainly is, but then again, it's also kind of ruined because it's this rather horrific ending. Honestly, it is in multiple aspects, and it wants you to leave the theater disturbed and like disturbed by what you just saw, because it's bleak. Like the movie ends bleak, but then as soon as it cuts to the credits, it starts playing Spirit in the Sky by Norman Greenbaum. Whatever bleak, depressed feeling that I was having from this ending you gave me is gone. Like that would be like if we went to go see Saw, and then it cuts to the ending credits, and like Wonderful World by Herman's Hermits started playing.
Yeah, as soon as he slams the door, and just cue that one. It's like, oh, so we're not taking this seriously.
Yeah, right. For a movie that was constantly taking itself seriously.
Oh, well, I just realized that was them borrowing from one other space movie. They're like, it's like, oh man, we included stuff from all these classic space horror films. But could we fit something in that should have been in, like, Guardians of the Galaxy?
It was in Suicide Squad.
Because, yeah, it immediately takes you out of any actual impact that ending could have possibly had. Because, yeah, it's your classic, like, whoops, tricked ya style ending. And it's got this really heavy feel to it, and the camera's panning up into the sky away from it so we don't get to see what's going to happen. Except you can hear just, like, screaming, and, like, you know, you can see, like, more like boats headed towards the capsule. Like, oh man, like, that's even more people that are going to die. And then, yeah, like I said, just like this really, like, heavy, like rumbling noise kind of soundtrack to it. Like, it feels really heavy.
Yeah.
And then just...
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and
all right.
And it's not like this movie was filled with stuff like that. It wasn't at all. Like, this movie does, its tone is pretty serious, like, through and through. I mean, yeah, it plays that on the ending credits because, I don't know, it played it in the trailer.
Yeah, it's like, we paid for the song, we're gonna fucking use it.
Yeah. But granted, honestly, usually I assume if a song is playing in the trailer, it's probably not in the actual movie. So...
Or if it is, it's for effect when it is. Like,
yeah.
You know, again, like Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. Like, I'm just kind of not saying that it wouldn't bother me if a song that was in the trailer, like, was in the actual movie. Like, I mean, granted, used correctly, of course, but I wouldn't have left the theater confused by that, because at this point, I kind of assume if a song is in the trailer, it's probably not in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just... I could... You know what? No, I would have at least given it a pass if that was a thing established in the movie. Like, if part of, like, Gyllenhaal being up there, like, part of his thing was, like, just listening to, like, music, or, like, you know, even, like, that scene, like him and Rebecca Ferguson, like, just floating there, and he's, like, quoting Goodnight Moon. If he'd just been sitting, like singing, like, you know, like something like Spirit in the Sky to himself.
No, totally.
Like, if he'd been doing something like that, awesome. Like, you know, just like the whole movie just floating around up there, like just whistling like Creedence Clearwater, or like fucking you know, REO Speedwagon, like just doing shit like that. Like,
no, I agree with you. Yeah.
Suddenly that would be a perfect, like, punctuation to the end of the movie. But
because usually when that happens, no, I totally agree with you. Because usually when that happens, that's typically the case. Whether it's like Blue Moon playing at the end of Werewolf in London, which is a dark comedy, but it does have the ending is great for one, but like partly because like something sad happens and then it smash cuts to Blue Moon, but or that old timey music it plays like at the end of Evil Dead, like when it cuts to the end credits, because earlier in the movie it started playing that when Ash was in the basement. And the projector kicked on.
So yeah, so there's a precedence for stuff like that to be able to work. It's just, yeah, this, like, it gave you nothing. It just, like, and none of the rest of the score is, like, known music. Like, usually there's not much of a score at all. And then just suddenly, Spirit in the Sky.
It was random. It was, and like... Yeah, it did completely take me out of this fucking thing. It absolutely did, and usually, like I said, like I'm cool. I actually love it when movies have, like, you know, a good soundtrack like that or something. But this was just the end in the ending credits after I should be leaving relatively disturbed.
Fuck me. You know what this movie was? It was Deep Star 6 in space.
Oh yeah. It really was.
Like with the creature, like slowly, getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And taking over parts of the area, and then trying to like figure out ways around it.
Ryan Reynolds in the Michael Carmine role.
Fuck me, it's Deep Star 6.
Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time. A movie that was always mostly memorable to me because of the striking poster and box cover.
Yeah. I think it was fucking terrifying.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Probably not since probably the last time I rented it on VHS. So like 20 years ago, maybe.
I was just thinking about them. Like, it's like it only popped in my head because I'm like, was it last? I think it was this last October. I had it on my list of movies to watch.
Did you watch it last October?
It was last October or the one before, but yeah.
How did it hold up? I remember kind of being all right with it, but granted, that was like 25 years ago.
The effects are very hit and miss. It's one of those when you look at it, it's like, and this came out the same year as The Abyss.
Nice. You know what?
And likewise, this is coming out the same time as
Alien Covenant,
Alien movie. So,
yeah, maybe we'll be saying that about this movie. Except this has a A-list cast for some fucking reason. Like I really
somehow they got everybody to sign on for this.
Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, Rebecca Ferguson. Cause I don't know why, honestly.
I can only assume that they were like, remember Gravity? How big that did? Fucking Sandra Bullock out there in fucking space. Yeah, but ours has a monster.
Ooh.
It's like, all right.
You know, all that like space is quiet stuff. Fuck that. You can hear glass shattering in our movie.
Space is very loud when they're outside.
Man, this is, it's too bland for me to hate it or be mad at it. I don't any of those things. Like, it's just there. It just is this kind of movie.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I said, when we were walking away from the theater, like, I feel like I should have watched this probably like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Exactly, and it would have had like a B movie cast or something, but still been in a lot of theaters.
Yeah,
it
would have definitely had Christian Slater in it.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the guys would have probably been LL Cool J.
Yeah, like this feels like Penelope Ann Miller would have been like.
We are mostly just remaking Deep Blue Sea, I think.
I think sharks in space, man. Like, oh wait, I'm pretty sure that's one of the Sharknado movies. I think they've gone to space at this point.
Yeah.
I'll call Ryan and ask him. They gone to space yet? Yes, yeah, dude, like 10 movies ago. Sorry, man. I'm a little behind. It's a rental, I guess, because it's not bad enough for me to be like, oh, fuck off with it. You know, it's not fucking Chips. It's not that. Like, it just is what it is. And because of that, I don't know, if you pull it up on Netflix or you rent it, whatever. Like, maybe on a smaller screen you might get something out of it. I certainly didn't.
Yeah, I mean, with the variety of choices that are out there that are this, like, all of the pieces that make up this movie, you could easily watch any of them and have a much better time. Like I would have much rather watched like Event Horizon again.
Totally.
I fucking love that movie.
Same here. Yeah.
I would have much rather have watched Sunshine.
Sunshine, definitely.
I kind of want to go home and just watch that now.
Mm-hmm.
There's any variety. Like, go back and watch the first Alien movie. You know, we got a new one coming out here. Might as well go watch one of the old ones.
Yeah.
You know, you got a lot of fucking options. And then there's this movie. Just another option.
Especially, even beyond movies that this is like, so far, this hasn't been a bad year for horror movies. Like, if you just want to go see a horror movie, Get Out is still playing. Split might be in some theaters that you're at.
Yeah, there's still better options out there right now. Like,
yeah.
Like, we had to walk past a theater playing Get Out to get to this.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So,
but again, like, but also in terms of horror movies that have been out this year, like, I don't care much for this movie, but it's not Rings bad.
Yeah. Fuck that one that we had a trailer for.
I missed that. Except
Wish
for,
Upon.
I missed that except for the last like second of it because I was getting a soda. I hadn't seen that trailer.
It was like that girl from the girl that was in like White House Down and The Conjuring.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's the lead in it, like clearly being cast as not Chloe Moretz.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just like she finds like this weird old music box that if you make a wish while you're using it, it comes true. But I don't know. They said something about like, oh, it's taking control of you, but it never shows anything to go with that. So, I don't know. It's from the creator. It's from the people that gave us Annabelle.
You know what? That worries me when they say Annabelle and not The Conjuring.
Yep.
It's like
those are two very specific things that you should say.
Yeah.
From the people that brought you The Conjuring. Ooh.
Yeah.
From the people who brought you Annabelle, the spinoff of The Conjuring. Oh.
No, I didn't like that movie.
I don't want that.
Whenever I see let's say when we go see that, because it will be us too.
When we eventually sit down to watch this movie.
Yeah. I kind of, after like Ouija 2, I'm kind of like, well, like this Wish Upon movie, like, well, this was bad, but maybe it'll pull a Ouija 2, and like the sequel will be really good.
The sequel, yeah, set in like fucking World War II era Japan or something like that. Like, oh, this is interesting,
right? You just got to sit through a shitty first movie first. Any final thoughts about this? I got nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like if you catch it on a smaller theater, you know, honestly, just wait to rent it. I mean, this is going to be one of those movies that a year from now I'll see on Netflix and be like, oh, I should put that on as I'm falling asleep.
Yeah,
because there's just it's built out of a lot of really good pieces, but there's just nothing there.
This is a movie where when it's on Netflix and you have your glasses off, you might think, am I looking at the poster for Life or Passengers? And you know what? Either one, it's not it's not like you're making a mistake of like a piece of shit or a masterpiece. This movie's a bit better than Passengers, but I mean, still, it's gonna be something you put on to fall asleep to. Next week is I think it's Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell and Boss Baby. So Allison will be in town next week.
Because she's been talking a lot about Boss Baby.
The Boss Baby is next week.
Like every time I talk to her, she just won't shut up about Boss Baby.
About Boss Baby. Yeah, you know what? At least I won't see the trailer for it anymore. Cookies are for closers.
I feel bad because I'm sure people are gonna like. It's like, I heard you were looking forward to this movie. Why?
I think the only like bad movie that like Allison and I would be at this year that's not a kids movie. Actually, I don't know why I said bad. I'm actually looking forward to this, but is a Baywatch.
That one looks like it could be that like TV to movie revival thing that pulls through, you know, like you got your, 22 Jump Street, and 21 Jump Street, and then you have Chips.
After Chips, like I already thought
Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle.
Full Throttle, yeah. After, I mean, I already thought Baywatch looked like it might be kind of funny, but after Chips, I'm like, you know what? Baywatch might be one of the best comedies of the fucking year. Like, Jesus Christ. But Oh yeah, that's coming up next week. I think in the middle of the week, Dave and I are gonna try to see Wilson sometime because that's playing. But anyway, see you then. Later.